Hello, hello. This is Jeanette Chasworth. I'm the Color Whisperer, and welcome to our show where we talk about all things home and healing. And today I'm really excited. We have got a great show. We are going to be bringing on Jamin. He has a window treatment company, and window treatments are one of the things I'm really passionate about because the windows truly are the jewelry of your home. Many people, they're doing a design project and they're working on their house and they're working about the furniture and the paint and the floors, and then the windows kind of get towards the end of the budget and sometimes they get skipped, and they're so important because the windows treatments can truly make or break your design. People ask me all the time, what's the two best things I can do that have the biggest impact? And the first one is paint because that's the cheapest. And the next one is window treatments, because you can keep the same furniture and change the window treatments, which isn't as expensive as changing all your furniture, but it really makes a difference in how your home feels and how it's seen. So it truly is the joy, and it's all about having the right accessories, right? Because if I were to take this off, it's pretty, but having the right jewelry makes such a big difference. So I want to bring Jamin in, and he's going to talk to us about window treatments and kind of how they work their magic. All right, Jamin, why don't you come on in? Hi,
Hey,
Jamin.
Jeanette, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you? So you're actually in somebody's home today, and we're going to see how you work from start to finish. Well, maybe not finish. We're not going to get the
Okay,
drapery.
yeah, we'll get an idea of, especially like this particular kind of project, because, well, one, Sophia is a return client, which makes us very happy,
Yes, we love
and
those.
um, and she does put a lot of thought into her home, and she has acquired her own panels. And what she would like us to do is, to come up with a window treatment plan that will utilize the panels that she has. We're going to have to do some sewing and put some things together. And then we're also going to look at some hardware and it's kind of redo the look of this. So I guess I'll let you meet Sophia.
Okay.
Sophia is here. She's the homeowner.
Okay.
Hi, how are
Hi,
you?
Sophia. This is so
Hi.
wonderful. Thank you so much for opening your home up like this. That's wonderful.
And then in the back, we have Sarah. And Sarah is another one of the designers that work with us. And so we'll just kind of start. Is that okay?
Hi,
I mean,
Sarah.
with Sophia.
Okay. So you already
So
asked this question. You've worked with her and you know, but one of the first questions we got to ask whenever we look at a room is, how much privacy do you need in here? Which is kind of a polite way of saying, do you walk around the house naked, right? But but we need to know how much privacy you need in a space. Everybody has their own different comfort levels. Some people just sheer is enough, and some people need blackout. If you've got a TV or something, that people like the blackout so the sunlight doesn't glare in. And I see that you don't have blackout and you've already got some window treatments there that look like there's not a lot of privacy needs here. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I had the valances made a little while ago,
Yeah.
but this is in my family room, and I get a glare on the TV screen.
So we do
And
need.
so yeah, yeah, and so I bought these panels, and it's a lot of windows in the back, so I want to figure out the best way to uh, darken the room, but not make it so I can't let sunlight in. I get some morning sun here, so I that's really what I'm looking to
Okay.
do, and I'm hoping that Jamin will give his expertise on how
I'm
to
sure
do
he
it.
will. Are these ready-made panels?
Yeah, they're ready-made panels that I got
Okay.
online, and that's the last project that Jamin did was kind of similar because I like the fabric, and I figure, oh, this is kind of easy peasy. And so I know we're going to have to together, and then I'll let him, he'll tell me if I need to add more blackout lining to it. And then I plan to bring the top of the panels as close to the ceiling as possible. You can see I do have some molding.
Yep.
So maybe right below that molding. I really want to elevate the room.
Okay. So Jamin, what kind of what kind of panels are they?
Okay, so these are, they have tabs on the back. So they would go on a traditional stationary rod. She wants to keep the tabs here. And so, and then, so yeah, so it's going to be that the length is about 96. So we're going to have to measure and get the right length that we need. And then just kind of look at the width here and kind of look at sizes as far as hardware. But what's nice is we're doing a kind of a contemporary look, and we're going to do one rod and then elbow because we have a corner. And so, and then some very simple end caps on the ends. And that's going to, have a casual look because it's going to have just that tab top. You're going to see some rod coming in between. Be kind of, or actually hidden, right?
Yeah, it's going to be hidden.
Yeah, so it'll be hidden, but then you'll see the rod connecting the windows.
And you'll see the finials. So
and there's some simple.
So the trouble with ready-mades is you have to, if they're made for very specific sizes, and most people don't get enough ready-mades for their window to begin with because they think, oh, it's 44 inches and my window's 40 inches, so that's more than enough. But you need to have fullness. Jamin, do you want to explain how that works?
Yeah, so typically when you're looking at covering a window, our standard that we go with is about 2.5 times fullness. That's going to mean that when the window is closed, that it's not going to be flat like a sheet, and you're going to get some nice folds and layering. And
you don't want a sheet on your window. You don't. Yeah, you want it to have some nice fullness.
And obviously, the more fullness, the more fabric. And so, certain pleats, like a 3-finger pinch pleat, is going to use a lot more fabric, let's say, than like a 2-finger bottom tack or a top tack, which we do use a lot. I use the 2-finger pinch, or some call it an Olivia or a flat fold, but same effect, and you get some nice fullness and a nice look. I'm going to measure the windows right now.
Okay.
And get an idea of the space that we have, and then I can kind of figure in what the fullness, kind of desired fullness would be.
Awesome. And different window treatments have different fullness requirements as well. So for instance, the tab top, where, you see that a lot in ready-mades. It's just the tab attached to the top of it. That usually can go a little bit less. And then I'm just
it's
talking.
Kind of more like
you can measure, and I can just talk. We can bring you in if you want. And you can pipe in too if you want. And ripple fold is another one. You see a lot of ripple fold today because people want that modern look, and ripple fold gives a nice modern look. I'll see if maybe Mark, you can just Google ripple fold drapes and pull up a drapery so we can see what that looks like. But basically you have a rod, and then the fabric just undulates back and forth, and it's very simple and very restrained, and that has different fullnesses, and that doesn't have to be 250% fullness. That can be less. So you want to make sure that you have the right fullness for the drapery treatment. And most of the people, in my experience, most of the people in the stores aren't going to tell you all that, the ready-made stores, because they don't have the right help there to do it. They're just helping you find stuff, but they haven't been trained in this. So you want to make sure you have the right fullness is really important. Also, when you're buying ready-made, you want to make sure you have enough length that at least you can cut them off and sew them up. And Jamin can put them together, sew them together, so it still works as one panel, because that's another thing when you're buying ready-mades. We've got a lot of windows here, and if you were to put 8 panels on one window, it's still going to look kind of icky because the panels aren't sewn together. So sewing those together will make a big difference in how it's presented and how it works, because otherwise you got to go pull each panel over. And what's going to happen is you're not going to end up moving them at all, and that's not what you want. So that's not so functional. By doing what he's doing, he's going to create a lot more functionality for the ready-mades. I did say ripple fold. Yes, Mark. Let me see if I can do it. You found it? Yeah, that's pretty good. So you can see it doesn't have, there's not much at the top. It doesn't have the pinch pleat look. It's just real clean lines and real simple. And with all the modern furniture that's out today, that's a really popular treatment. Yeah, there you can see it. That's good. Mark, why don't you see if you can do a 2-finger pinch pleat? And there should be 2, one where it's pinched about 3 inches down and one where it's pinched at the top. And that's another popular treatment right now, because it is it fits the modern. The 3-finger pinch pleat is kind of what everybody thinks about when they think about pinch pleat draperies. And it's very traditional. So the 2-finger is another way around it. There's a lot of different kinds of window treatments. We're just focusing on some popular ones at the moment, because they all, like everything else, it goes in waves, goes in trends, and it depends on what kind of furniture you have. We've got more traditional furniture here, so we don't have to we've got a little bit more flexibility with what we can do. And Jamin, are you figuring out how much fabric, how many panels we need? Is that what I'm seeing?
It looks like that Sophia did a great job in ordering her panels.
Yay.
We've got 8 panels total. And so what we're looking at right here, at 2.5 times fullness, you would be using like a 2 widths. And the panels that she got are 1 width each. And so we can center that and have one on either side. With the door, we're going to go with 4 panels, and it'll be a 2 width panel here and another 2 width panel on for the right panel. Center opening, and then she'll have a nice framed door. And these are going to go tall. They're going to go, the rod's going to be just attached right below that molding. So they're going to be tall.
So do you have anything that you use to decide where the rod gets placed in that space?
Absolutely.
What do you use?
Yeah. Well, in Sophia's case, in her instance, and a lot of clients do ask, they want to go as high as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so they want, extreme height. And she does have crown molding at the top. So obviously you have to go below the molding, because she didn't want it to be on the ceiling.
No, you want to see the molding.
Yeah. So you're going to go below that, and then what you have to factor in is the type of hardware that you're going to be using. And so there's some types of brackets that I use on 8 tracks, where the brackets are up above, and you need some work for your hands to be able to attach the brackets and make adjustments. And for that, I need to get an allowance of about 4 inches from the ceiling. So that's a factor. And then with this, I'm going to be solid rods, and so the brackets are going to be the like carriage type back brackets that carry the rod. And so we're going to be able to just mount those just maybe about a ½ inch below the crown molding, and have our rods, travel across, and then be wonderful.
Now, let's talk a little bit about rods, because that's another thing that a lot of people get stuck on. Are you using custom rods, correct? Or are we using ready-made rods?
We do custom rods. We do cut to measure.
Okay.
And so what we do is we buy and we stock hardware in different lengths, from 120 inch to 6 foot. Those are kind of standard sizes, like an 8 foot. Company I work with also has like a 102. And so we typically cut to measure, and I like to cut actually on site.
Oh,
And
yeah.
especially because in this one we have an elbow and we have some, wall space and stuff. We like to put in the brackets, make sure that the widths of the panels are good, and we trim the rods to just be that exact measurement that we want them to be.
And with longer windows, you have to make sure that you're looking at where the brackets are and order the right brackets for the window treatment, because otherwise your window treatments won't close.
Right. Right. And since we're going to have it being like one long continuous rod, there is going to be some slices, and those are going to be joined at where the brackets meet. And there's a joiner that goes inside and connects the rods. And that helps ensure that you get a nice, straight, rigid rod.
Nice. So we have what? Go ahead.
Yeah, we have some hardware here. This is kind of the that we're looking at, and we're going to be doing it in the satin silver.
Very nice.
So she has some other satin silver hardware pieces in the home that we're matching that with.
And do you have a selection of finial? Do you have a selection of finial?
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's quite a number of them. Let me see here. There's some standard, and this is Allendale. They're a company I use quite often. Have a great partnership with them.
They have some really pretty finials there.
Yeah, and then the one that we're looking at is the just an end piece, though, just to have a contemporary.
So why would you use the end piece instead of the finial? We don't have a lot of space between the two windows, so the end piece only takes up a little bit of space versus the finial, which is going to take up sometimes 3 to 5 inches. So with the windows being so close together, we don't really have room for a finial.
Yeah, and I think we're going to make up for it though with the long rod. That's going to give it some structure and continuity, between the windows.
Cool. And I saw gray fabric. Is that correct?
Yeah, let me take that out and show you. I don't know if you can see there's some color.
Oh, that's pretty.
So, yeah, some blue, kind of a denim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has a little bit of silver in it, too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And do you want to talk about...
It is a nice fabric.
And it's got lining already.
Yeah, it does have lining. It's not necessarily a blackout.
Right.
And because we're going to be that is something we have to look at. It did look like it had enough light filtering properties to work for it.
So can you explain a little bit about the different types of lining?
What was that?
Can you explain a little bit about the different types of lining?
Yeah.
And I find too that the ready-made lining is different than the lining that you present with your custom work as
Right.
well.
Yeah. Typically, we have cotton sateen is what we use for our standard lining. That's included like in all of our work. Um, and then there are other options. There's color options. There's different. There's actually quite a bit of different types of lining. Some have different types of thermal properties. They're more insulating. And then, of course, there's the different grades of dim out, or some people call blackout. And
So can you explain what blackout is?
yeah, so blackout is really it's just kind of the term used to describe um, uh, a type of fabric that's going to you know block out close to 100% of the sun and light penetration coming through.
So it's
We
great for
still like to call
bedrooms.
it. Yeah, it's great for bedrooms, areas we have privacy, theater
Mhm.
rooms, anywhere where you need to really control light. Um, and then there's other things though that because light just wants to go and find its way, and if there's any type of space, you're going to get light bleed through. And so if someone wants really, like I want blackout, like turn off the lights and I don't know where I am, uh, kind of a treatment, you're going to need some type of a covering, like a box or something that encloses the top of, where the drapes are, and trap light there. And you're going to need to have maybe some special fastening on the sides
Mhm.
with the return, because even the light will bleed through just where the drape, even though it's touching the wall. There's enough variation just with the texture and things of fabric and our drywall that light, you're going to get light lines coming through.
And
So,
there's Go ahead.
tip,
Sorry. And there's thermal lining
I was
too.
just going to say that. Oh, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about
So then
thermal
there's also,
lining, how that works?
or like inner lining.
I love inner lining. I love it, looks so luxurious, inner lining. I love it.
Yeah, especially if you're doing like silks, you're going to want to use an inner liner just to give it the body. Anything sateen. So you're going to have your fabric face, which is going to be, that beautiful, elegant, uh, you know, soft surface. And then you're going to have an inner lining, which is almost like a pad, like a very small, flat. Uh,
Flannel. It's like a flannel.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like a flannel.
Flannel.
And it goes in between. And then you have the standard lining behind it. And so that's going to give a lot of body and depth and weight to your fabrics.
It hangs really
It's
well.
also, yeah, and
And
oh yeah, you're
go
going to get
ahead,
the weight. Mhm.
right? And it's also gonna help you with
Mhm.
warmth too, because first you've got 3 layers of fabric, but that flannel is gonna catch the cold as well.
Absolutely, yeah, it's going to insulate. And then another added feature is for Roman shades. If you One of the things that happens with blackout lining is because you got to attach the rings, is you get these little stars, these little dots of light if you do a blackout. So and you have to do something either to the fabric behind it. Inner lining does work in most instances. There still are some fabrics that are just so. I guess I would say sometimes you just got to battle light.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's tough if somebody really wants it. If somebody really wants everything pitch black, it takes a lot of effort because the light is going to come through. I mean, and it with Roman shades, you're right. The little needles that because you got to sew them on, so that creates a hole, and the blackout's thicker, so it's just the hole is there, and a little bit of light will come through.
Yeah.
So where are we on this? On your appointment here?
Well, for as far as the appointment goes, I think I have the information I need. to be able to go over costs and put together a estimate, and then Sophia will let me know if it's a thumbs up or let's talk about it or something, and then we go from there. Yeah, then we get it done.
Jamin, do you have a website? Or actually, I mean,
Uh, it's customdraperies.net.
okay.
And then we're on Instagram, and it's BNT Custom Draperies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
BNT
We'll put that link up, and then it is, you can work with a designer too. You work with designers as well. So that,
Absolutely.
yeah. So if you can go through a designer and they can help you make all the choices too, and work with you. Cool. All right. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I just want to get
no,
the website up here.
I want to hand it back to you.
You can hand it back to me. Okay. All right. So I want to know a little bit about how you got into all of this. What brought you into
Oh,
the
you want to just, you know what? Let me hold on one sec, because I
Sure.
think they're gonna go look at some other spaces,
Right.
and
Oh,
because there's gonna be more work being done in the house, and you and
okay.
I can talk,
Okay.
and then while they're doing that, is that good?
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So tell us a little
Okay.
bit about your company and how you got into it.
Um. Well, the interesting part is that I got into it on Craigslist, and we were looking for TVs. We just moved back and got a new rental place, and we looked up TVs on Craigslist, and there was a laundromat that we found that was being sold, and they were selling the TVs. But what that did was it let us know that people sell businesses on Craigslist, and that's how we found BNT Custom Draperies.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and it had been in business for about 40 years. It was a family-owned business, and we met the kids. And what was really sad, is that the previous owners had both passed away.
Hmm.
And what was important was to the kids is that they had it go and to be another family. And so my wife Tila and I went in on it together. And what made it really, something that we could do is that the seamstresses that worked for Ted and Beverly, the original owners of BNT, that they would continue and work with us. And so, um, we still do. In fact, uh, Bertha has been with us since we started about going on 4 years, and she was with the original BNT for about 20 plus years, and um, I'm glad to be included in that journey. It's been great.
That's cool. That's very cool. So in this particular job, you're going to sew the panels together and you're going to put them on the rod. And then
Hmm.
roughly what kind of turnaround time is this?
Typically, we're about 4 to 6 weeks,
Okay. So that's a lot of
and
custom is still custom. It takes
yeah,
time. You want it done right.
yeah. Well, and it's not, and it's just kind of that's how it just ends up being as far as mm, the workload. Just the
Right.
workload. We're busy, and we get projects, and the easiest way to do it, so I don't have to think about it, is they just you get in line
Right.
and have the order that comes in, and you just try to adhere to that. We do, though, for some smaller projects, fit them in. So if we're working on like, a house with multiple rooms, multiple treatments, that's going to be something that we're working on for a couple of weeks. Uh, we'll throw in some other single panel jobs. So there is some opportunities to get things sooner.
Okay. And Mark's asking me if you can do virtual stuff. And I know, I mean, you can mail them. I mean, I've worked with drapery companies in other parts
Oh
of the
yeah,
country, so it
yep,
should be fine. I mean, it's just
absolutely.
a matter of making sure that you have somebody to take the proper measurements. That's really key.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what happened. We have a couple relationships like that. In fact, one of our designers is out in Minnesota,
Mhm.
and we're working on a project over in La Cresta, which is like a really nice ranch kind of community over in the Temecula area.
Mhm.
And um, everything has been virtual. We go out, it's all via email, um, photographs, things of that nature. But we're putting that one together. And then we also were we do panels for Lululemon for
Oh,
their dressing rooms on their
very
in
cool.
their like outlet stores.
Very cool.
Those get shipped all over. Um, and so those are just, if you have specifications, then we can just go off of the specifications. We do like to communicate. We ask questions. And then, of course, there is any type of, I mean, once we had to kind of go remote during COVID
Yeah, we
for
all
some
did.
things. And I think that actually lent itself to, a process that we're
Right.
able to just do and offer it out. But we found it valuable. It's a valuable tool.
I think I agree. I mean, for me, nobody really wanted to see me virtually before COVID. I couldn't sell virtual for nothing.
Mm,
I couldn't give it away. Everybody wanted me in their home. And since that, I do
mhm,
have more people who are like, "Oh yeah, we can do this virtually, no problem." I think so. There's some advantages to it. I mean, there's still the in person is always wonderful, but it does expand because we can work
mhm,
anywhere now. It has expanded things as well.
mhm. Yeah. When I'm working on a project myself, though, I do like to go to the house and
Yeah.
take the fabrics and, see it myself
You
and
gotta
make
see the
sure that
fabric in
that
the
really
space.
in the space. Yeah, it's totally important. So, but we can send memos out and uh, and the client one, is the main
Right.
authority on that. I guess. So just making sure we have the client approval, but I think it's so important that they do see it in the space. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So is there anything else you wanna go over that we haven't talked about?
Uh, no, I mean this is new to me. This is my very first podcast ever,
You're doing
and
great. You're doing great. So what's
it
probably
feels,
the most difficult project you've had to do?
um, the most difficult project I had to do. This is funny because I don't think it wouldn't be difficult now. Um, Basically, I got this call for an Airbnb out in Joshua Tree, and um, that trip met some really cool people. This was like right when a couple months, after COVID was around, and people were starting to meet and where we could wear masks and go inside in people's homes and stuff. And I met a couple that have this house out in Joshua Tree, and they just had this huge, wide window, series of windows, and I want to say like about 18 feet or more in width. And they just wanted like a nice soft linen look. They didn't want to have pleats. And this is actually kind of before I really understood ripple fold.
Mhm.
And so what I did to make the is I made my own ripple fold with strings, and I tied them to in between the rings, that were on the rod. So that way when they pulled it, it didn't go flat, that it had like, it kept its and I want to say that was just the most difficult just because it was uh tedious. Yeah, yeah, it was a little bit tedious. And then let me see the ones. I'm trying to think of the ones that like keep you up at night,
Oh,
like the
there's
day
nothing
before
like
the
that
instrument.
4 AM. Oh my god, did I? Like, oh, but then there's
Yeah,
nothing better
I
than the
start.
4 AM. That's how I do it, right? I get the best ideas
Yeah,
at 4
sometimes there's an idea that comes. Mhm. I feel like it's like you start working on it and you're planning it and you're even going through and imagining like all the different scenarios of what's going on. And sometimes I do tell myself it's I don't have to work right now. Like it's gonna, I'm gonna be there in the morning and I can still get some sleep. Um, but I want to say some of the most difficult for me have been actually more a traditional type of hardware, which is the cord drawn. And I think it's because I we don't really use it a lot. Uh, we use like motorized, we do baton, um, and with the cord drawn, and especially on some of like your really really tall windows, we're going to be doing some that are like 19 feet tall, um, and they don't want motorization, and you kind of don't want to have to go up and deal with like electrical and stuff. But a chord, and just making sure that everything is centered and everything. To me, that's why I rely on professional installers
Yeah.
that we have on our team. Yeah, I
Let's
have
talk
guys that have been doing it for a long time.
so let's talk a little bit about motorization because that's such a big deal. And also it can go with your phone now or your Alexa or your Google home, whatever it's called. I forget what the Google version is. Um, but
Hmm.
let's talk a little bit about because there's a big trend in putting everything together on your phone and being able to just walk into a room, having settings for this is my morning setting, this is my evening setting. With one button, you can have all the shades move up, down, whatever it is, and you can create mood settings. Like I want my my fun setting, my romance setting. You can have different settings and just have all that there. So you just with a touch of a button,
Hmm.
you can move all that stuff.
Hmm. The people love it. They love the voice command.
Yeah.
Being able to walk into the room and say, "Alexa, the shades," and have them operate and to go where you want. Um, there's a lot right now when it comes to motorization, because it's gone a long way and like in different directions because there's hardwired where you can have it actually installed into the system of your home, that's wired, and that is something that's obviously done typically during a major renovation or new construction, but it can be. Uh, I've seen it done in situations, but there's some work that needs to be done to be able to do that. So then you have remote. You have the or I'm sorry, I mean battery operated and rechargeable batteries. And so then you don't have any unsightly wires or anything, but you do have to charge the remote. I'm sorry, the battery every once in a while. Uh, Typically about 9 months.
Okay.
Um, and then there is other types of batteries that are plug-in, like you use in an outlet, And with that, you kind of have to keep in mind that you're going to have that's sometimes better for obviously panels like drapes, and if you have an outlet that can be hidden behind a stack, and then you don't have to worry about charging. So because I do think a lot about the clients with motorization, as far as are they going to be wanting to get on a ladder,
Yeah.
or have to hire somebody to get on a ladder on some of these to go and charge your shades. I do have solar powered for certain types of window treatments, and that could be like high Roman shades up in windows. And with that, you can have motorization and not have to have it hardwired, and it's on a rechargeable solar power
Nice.
Battery. Yeah. And
I know some of my clients who have wanted the remotes is because they're elderly and they physically can't move. The drapes are too heavy or they're too high up and they can't do it. So you do want to be careful in that kind of situation. You don't want somebody who's, in their 80s to be climbing on a chair, and you don't want it to have to be, they're going to have to hire.
You don't even want to
Huh?
Yeah. I don't want to pull, and I don't want to pulling on a cord
No,
either.
no.
To be honest,
No, because they can't.
And we're getting
This movement's hard,
Yeah.
And the weight, one of my clients who had it, she was 84 and she was just so excited. She's like, she said she had these huge long windows and she's like, I can't pull the cord. And so she was thrilled. She could just sit there and push a button. It was like giving her a new toy.
Yep. Yeah. The other option that I see is the baton drawn. I use that the most, and then with the 8 tracks, and you can have long panels, and if it's typically we'd spray a little bit of silicone inside the track, and it just gives it this like extreme glide.
Yeah.
And that works so well, especially for people that are maybe further along there in age, and you don't want them. They can do it just very easily, with a baton.
Yeah.
And that's another option, because motorization is still somewhat pricey.
It is. Right. Well, we are almost done. Jamin, thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope you all. Do you have anything you want to promote?
I want to promote Sophia and Sarah.
Okay.
Because Sophia was awesome to open up her house on a whim, and Sarah's great because she brought over some samples that I definitely needed for this call that I wanted to show Sophia. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah. I also want to promote Color Whisper. Go get your house healed.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. What advice would you want to give to others who want to go into drapery work? If you're trying to read that.
I would say definitely learn to sew. Maybe. I mean, well, you know what? I don't know how to sew. You learn to understand and appreciate. Okay, appreciate the people who sew. That would be one of the first things. And then the other would be just like you're constantly going to be learning anyways, because things are always changing a bit. But understand fabrics. There's some good books on fabrics that are kind of almost like pocket handbooks for me, that because they did have different properties, and they not only look different, but they have different physical attributes as far as breathing and how they just are going to exist in your home. And then a little bit of math.
It's a lot of math. That's a lot of math, Jamin.
Yeah. So get friendly with a calculator and a measuring tape.
Yes.
Yes, or find a good find good people to measure and figure out the yards and space all the spacing and everything you need, and um,
And
rely on them. Partner with your whoever does drapes and stuff. You do your window treatments because it is teamwork.
it is. And what's your greatest lesson of entrepreneurship that you've learned in the last 4 years?
That really the greatest lesson is that it's going to be super busy as far as just even getting one job. You know what I mean? Just being out there and trying to get work and do work. Um, I've had a lot of hard lessons
Yeah.
actually over these like 4 or 5 years, but I'd say most of it and the hardest is trusting others.
Yeah.
Trusting others with your business and mm, I think the other would be to just remind yourself to slow down
Yeah.
and pay attention to the life that's happening, like in the moment. Because in growing a business, there's always a tomorrow, and there's always I should have done something yesterday kind of feelings. And so, uh, and we could go living months and years like that sometimes and not see the life that's right in front of us. So
It's
I
true.
would say that's the part A1, number one, most important.
Excellent lesson. Awesome. Thank you again so much for coming in. This was wonderful.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Uh, it was fun.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'll exit out now. Is that cool?
Okay. Yes. Yes. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Bye.
All right. So that gives you a little taste of what is involved in window treatments. It really is a science, and it's really important to get the right help. Work with a designer, work with a custom drapery workroom, because there's so much detail in it. And when you go look at ready-mades, it's not just, oh, I need a pole and I need a panel, and there's so many details involved, and it really is going to make a huge difference in your home. I'm here to help if you want any help with your window treatments. I've worked in a drapery workroom many years ago. I got to see a lot of people's mistakes. I don't make them because I got to see everybody else's mistakes. And it's really very, very important thing to spend money on, because it really is going to change how do you feel in your home. All right. Hey,
Great
Mark.
job, a great conversation. Jamin was an amazing guest and all in
Isn't
that
he?
space. He's very mellow, but he was still very much giving some great insights and all in that space. So I was impressed and all in those lines. I actually just got, as I had put in the chat, an email because my windows are finally going to get fixed. Because I know that in talking to you, I've told you that I cat sat and the cat decided to cat destroy. So I got an email that said, and that was months ago. I got an email that said that they were actually going to be fixing blinds throughout the complex, and I did actually see them working on another part of the apartment complex yesterday. So it looks like I got a reprieve and won't have to look at my partially up windows and everything, and I can actually have the
Yay.
blinds go all the way down when I want them down, because they are definitely going to be repairing those blinds. Actually, I think a week from yesterday. So yeah, the 13th is the day that they're supposed to be coming and installing some new blinds in the two rooms that have the blinds, which is the living room, which folks can sometimes see off in the background, and the bedroom, which I have closed and all in that space. But both of those spaces are the two that have blinds, and they will get new blinds. So looking forward to seeing what they put up and all in that space. But it'll be a lot better than the tattered blinds that are currently up and all of that in the way and all in that good space. So I'm looking forward to seeing some positive blinds in that way.
Awesome. Yay, yay. That's exciting.
It is exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I got to figure out how I'm going to move some of the furniture around so that they can actually get to the blinds and all of that, because it is a small apartment. So I've got to do some rearranging sometime between now
Yes,
and Wednesday or Thursday, which is the date of that appointment and everything. So I got to at least push some stuff forward so they can get to the blinds and all in that way. Just really quickly, just in case folks were wondering, because we never did show it, I did have that 2-finger
oh,
pinch and all in that. So I
sure,
just thought I'd bring that up just really
absolutely.
quickly so that they can see what that is all about, since I did hear you mention that and we hadn't got
Yes,
to
so
that.
that's the two finger. I sent you 2 links. Did you get both of them?
I did get both of them, and I can actually go back
So
to
this
that
is
as
a
well, because
2-finger
definitely,
pleat.
we
Can
can
you
definitely have a little bit of conversation around that as we're heading out the door. But yeah, I did get both of those, and that
okay.
was one of those that I got as we were talking and all along those lines. So it's always
Can
good
you
having a great.
zoom into the heading a little bit, the top of it?
Yes, I can well give actually we can do better than that. We can just do a full picture and all in that space. So let's see if that works
There we
and that
go. There
yes.
we go. So that's a 2-finger pleat. Actually, this is more of a butterfly pleat, but
Okay.
um, I think this is a really pretty pleat because of the way it hangs at the bottom of the pleat. So the 2-finger pleat just has the 2 pleats at the top. Usually, what you're used to seeing is a 3-finger pleat, which has 3 of those pleats, and then it's pinched at the bottom. And this is very popular. It's a little more modern. It's a little cleaner, and it still has the fullness and the prettiness that people want. And then we call this other one. Let's see if you can pull that up.
Yep. Well, I'm going to bring up another one. This is another one that you had sent me
Oh,
as
did you see
well.
the one where yeah, there we go. So that's a sometimes it's called a Euro pleat,
Mhm.
but it's clipped at the top instead of down below. So it's a different look. And this is also going with a lot of more modern houses these days.
Yep.
And you can put these on both of these treatments on a rod, or you can put them on cut to measure. Jamin referred to that, but he didn't really go into what that is. So cut to measure is the white rod that you see, it's just kind of a plain white rod that you put the hooks on.
Mhm.
That's called cut to measure, and it's called cut to measure because you bring it to the job and you cut it where you need it to cut it. So it's really uh, a simple treatment for the bar, for the railing, for the rod. There we
Yeah.
why did I blank there? For the
Yeah.
rod.
For the
Uh,
rod.
the more decorative rod is gonna always be prettier. Like anything, it's also a lot pricier. So, or it doesn't have to be a lot pricier, but it is pricier. The cut to measure is very inexpensive. It is great for if you want to get really close to the ceiling or if you want to mount on the ceiling. It is a way to do that. And you can do it. So you can't do it so much with this treatment, but you can do it with the other treatment. With a regular 2-finger pinch pleat, and then the you don't see the rod when it's closed. You will see
Right.
it only when it's open.
Yeah.
So that's another way of handling it.
No, that makes sense. And as we get ready to head out the door and everything, one of the things that I found unique about what Jamin was doing and everything was that during the pandemic, or actually right around the pandemic, it sounds like he found his job along with his significant other by going on Craigslist. I'm going like that was an interesting way to discover a job. And you do have to think that not everybody, unfortunately, is going to be able to pass their business on to family members, but they oftentimes do want to carry on the tradition, even if they have to pass it on to another family. Because I
Yeah.
know that was even a conversation I had with a friend of mine that did a story about the folks that are doing fisherman work in the coast of North Carolina, and he had done a article, and then I had actually I think he did some artwork, and then I did an article on him. This was years ago, but he was talking about how a lot of those fishermen couldn't get the fishermen children to go into fishermen work, so they had to find other ways to pass on the field, and it sounds like that's what he stumbled across as well.
I think he actually started before the pandemic.
Mhm.
So I'm sure the pandemic put him in a great deal of panic
Right.
because, oh my God, I just started this business and now I can't go into somebody's homes. And, I mean, I knew when it started, it's like, okay, this can't last forever. I mean,
Right.
it's not. But it sure as hell did feel like it was going to last forever.
Mhm.
And it still just feels like it's been way too long. But we all had to pivot. We all had to make adjustments, and I think there's some good things about it. And we lived through it, right?
We lived through it, and as we
Lived through
lived
it,
through it,
and
there are
knock on
other
wood, we're done.
now we're trying to get out of it. I know that even in the event space, which is one of the other things that I do work in, more and more people are going to events. They're actually going out and about. As a matter of fact, I think there's a poetry play that is taking place at one of the centers today. I've actually got some other commitments, so I won't make it to the Hayti, but then there are other groups that are meeting regularly, having dance classes. Matter of fact, we have 3 dance classes. I won't be there on Monday because that is Easter Monday, so they're taking that day off, but that's African dance for women. Then on Tuesdays, we've got ballet, and on Wednesday, and I was just there 2 days ago, they've got yoga. So we are starting to see not tremendous amounts of folks, but people are starting to get out and about and starting to go to events and everything. Sometimes they're even going to super large events, because I know last week, and this was the one that I did not go to, but the popular rapper J. Cole was organizing his Dreamville festival, which he did right before the pandemic, then took a couple of years off because of the pandemic. And then they did it this last weekend. And I think they estimated like 50,000 people there in Raleigh. And I'm
Awesome.
going like, that's a whole lot of people that have descended on for this festival. They have big names like Drake and J. Cole and a number of others in that hip hop world. I think even Waka Flocka might have been there as well. So that's a whole lot of folks though. So
Well, the government has officially said it's over. So I think we can relax a little bit. And I mean, at this point, you've gotten COVID or you haven't.
right.
I mean, and you maybe even had it more than once. So I feel like the panic can go away, you know?
I agree. The panic can go away. We can get to doing things, getting out and about, doing things. I mean, take the necessary health precautions that you should have been taking in the first place, and all of that,
Right?
even in the ways that you protect your house and all along those lines and all in that space. But yeah, great
There's
show.
a lot of ways that we need to protect our health, and it's a lot in what we eat,
Yeah.
going out, exercising, getting some sun,
Mhm.
eating healthy. And to me, one of the biggest things that I felt was wrong is they said stay inside, don't go outside.
Right.
And really we needed to be outside. And then it was, but people, because they were stressed and they were panicked, and they went to all the comfort food. And how many people got their COVID-19 pounds, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
And that was the last thing. It should have been, here we have beautiful hiking trails, and they shut them all down. And it's like, it should have been go walk,
No, yeah, they shut down
and
Duke Gardens, which is a great garden. You actually see that backdrop in the background, and yeah, they shut that down. It is now open. I do see people out and about using it and doing the walking trails, and even having weddings and other significant events there. But yeah, it was shut down like a lot of places were, and I agree that
yeah.
we probably need to be out there getting that fresh air. But I hate to tell you this, but we're in the middle of a torrential downpour. It's been going on all day, started last night, and I think it's supposed to run through Sunday morning. So I don't know that I'm exactly going to be trying to go outside in this weather and everything.
Well, it's gorgeous and sunny here, but we've actually had a ton of rain. Oh my God, it feels like we've been living in Seattle, and like it's a sunny day here. It's awesome. And we haven't had a lot of sun in the last couple of weeks, so I'm loving it.
Well, you enjoy that, son. I'm going to try to hopefully do some more stuff in the house and everything, get some food in my own stomach. I know that you got some of that can do spice. So as we head out the door, I'll give her a little bit of support.
I love it. I love the Kendu spice. It makes I throw it. Okay, I'm not the world's greatest cook, I will say. I don't really consider myself a cook. I take some fish or something like that. I throw some spices on it. I throw it in the oven. That's I wouldn't call that cooking. I mean, I'm cooking, but it's not like cooking. I'm no chef here. But I tell you, those Kendo spices, they're awesome. I love them.
Cool. Well, we're going to get those can do spices commercials so that folks can get their supply as well. And who knows, you might have to get some more if you're running out of them that much and everything. But I know that definitely Shani enjoyed that you got the order, and she was glad when I was able to tell her that there was a fellow person from the Pod TV family and all in those lines. So we're ready to get
Advertising
out
works.
of here. Sounds good. So we're ready to get out of here, and we'll see you on next week.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Can Do Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Can Do Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Can Do Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Can Do Spice a try.